Welcome to the 3 Arts Workshop. In this last week of diagramming, we're learning how to diagram verbals. What is a verbal? A verbal is a noun or other part of speech derived from a verb. So some verb that is acting like some other part of speech. 3 types of verbals: participles, gerunds, and infinitives. Participle is a verb acting as an adjective. A gerund is a verb acting as a noun, and an infinitive is to plus a verb. Here are the 3 types of verbals we want to learn. Let me give you examples of each. Reginald prefers grilled vegetables. You can see that there is not any old adjective. It's a verb that's been turned into an adjective. Grill, grilling something, to grill, been turned into now an adjective describing vegetables. What kind of vegetables? Grilled vegetables. Gerunds. All the Ledukes enjoy waveboarding. Here, waveboard is a verb that now is turned into a noun. We see that it's the direct object of the sentence, in fact. What is it that all the Ledukes enjoy? Waveboarding. Infinitive. Here's an example. Henrietta's first goal is to sleep. Here is an infinitive because it's to plus a verb. It's an action untied to any agent. And here it's the subject complement. Henrietta's first goal is what? To sleep. Quick instruction in diagramming participles. We'll not only here for each of these verbals cover how to diagram the individual words themselves, individual participles, gerunds, or infinitives made of 2 words. We're also going to show you how to diagram participial phrases, gerund phrases, and infinitive phrases. With each of these verbals, you not only have participles, gerunds, and infinitives, you can have whole cluster of words grouped around each of these root constructions. Okay. Participles get diagrammed like this. It's a downward curvy line. It's not the same thing as the descending diagonal line we'd have for a prepositional phrase. It goes down and then curves. So we don't have that sharper angle that we get with the descending diagonal line, the preposition connecting to its object of the preposition. Like this, participle. And the participle is written diagonally, kind of like it's kitty-cornered in on this participial downward slope. For the future of instructions of this video, I'm just going to refer to it as the participial slope, so you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. So here you can see that sometimes with participial phrases, we don't just have the participle itself, the participle takes an object. For instance, what if I said something like this? Watching Casablanca, I fell asleep. That would be a participial phrase at the beginning. Watching would be the participle itself, and then the object, the direct object of that participle would be Casablanca, the thing that I'm watching. I would diagram it like this, just drawing my little half line as I would with any direct object on the main baseline. The participle is written diagonally, kitty-cornered into the participial slope, and then the object goes after the half line. Sometimes, though, I might have, for my participle, a linking verb, so being, something like being ing. Being a member of the family, I had the rights to the sweet potato casserole. Being there is not, it's a linking participle. So I'm going to draw my backward slanty line just as I would for any subject complement on the main baseline of a sentence. There. The thing that comes after that slanty line is not the direct object. It's my subject complement. Here's one added tweak. sometimes we have prepositional phrases descending from participial phrases. So we have something like, walking Fido in the moonlight, I saw a ghost. Walking Fido. Walking, there would be my participle. Fido, my direct object. In the moonlight would be a prepositional phrase telling me under what circumstances I'm walking. So I would make it descend then from the participle itself. Now, if I had something else like walking the neighbor's dog in the moonlight, I saw a ghost, I would put the neighbors as modifiers underneath the object. But here, my prepositional phrase is answering something about where I'm walking, under what circumstances I'm walking Fido. That means I put the descending diagonal line beneath the participle, because that's the verby thing in this construct, right? So what I'm getting here is actually adverbial. Great. Let me put this into action. Here's a very, very simple case of diagramming a participle. Wallace ate burned toast. Okay? So easily I have subject and verb, Wallace ate, and I see that toast is the direct object. I put that as the direct object of the sentence. Burned there is my participle. It's a verb that's been turned into an adjective, and it's describing toast. So there I draw my participial slope. I put burned beneath. Let's do something slightly more difficult. Skimming the book in a day, Quirinius missed the novel's artfulness. Now I need to say something here about distinguishing participles from gerunds, because you may already know that gerunds and participles sometimes share ing endings. So if I'm looking at a phrase like this at the beginning of the sentence, skimming the book in a day, I might ask, how do I know that this is a participle and not a gerund? This is going to be helpful here for the rest of the lesson. Here's the test, and it's really easy. With participles and participial phrases, you can remove the whole construction, and if the rest of the sentence there is there, it can stand on its own. Right? So let me put that another way. If I take out skimming the book in a day and just have Quirinius missed the novel's artfulness, that can stand on its own, right? If it can stand on its own, then I know that the thing that I just removed is a participle. Because you can remove any adjective from a sentence and not harm the structure. The red Corvette drove away. The Corvette drove away. Adjectives can be removed. Nouns can't be removed. If I said the Corvette drove away, the blank drove away. I can't take out nouns. I can't take out gerunds and gerund phrases without harming the integrity of the sentence. So here I know I'm looking at a participle, and I color code it this way. I say, okay, I have my subject, I have my verb, my main subject and verb of the sentence, Quirinius missed, and then I have here the novel's artfulness. Here, artfulness being the direct object. Just a quick word about this kind of construction. What you see right here, novels is here a possessive adjective. So it's an adjective coming from artfulness. But notice that the is actually connected to novels. I'm not saying they're not separate modifiers. The here in the sentence is modifying novel's artfulness. Right? So I string them together like this. You don't have to worry about this for the quiz, but it's something to know that's helpful about diagramming. This is one of those cases when you have a possessive adjective of a modifier modifying a modifier. Okay. But now the real thing that we're trying to learn is this, how to diagram this participle right here. Skimming the book in a day. So this is a participial phrase, and if I take it as a whole, I start color coding it, I can note that skimming here is my participle. So I put it on the participial slope beneath Quirinius, because it's telling me something about Quirinius. Right? That's what when you have an opening participial phrase like this, the thing it's modifying is the first word, or should be the first word in the main clause that comes right after. So skimming But what am I skimming? The book. Okay, so here's the object of the participial direct object. And then I have this remaining prepositional phrase, in a day. So what's that telling me? In a day. Is it modifying book? Talking about what kind of book? No. It's telling me something about how Quirinius skimmed the book. So it's actually adverbial, which means I put it then in blue to mark adverbial, and then I put it beneath the participle. I put it beneath the verby thing since it's adverbial. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Diagramming gerunds, moving on to the second of our three. Here we have a pedestal again, because the pedestal goes in the noun space, just like noun clauses. We draw a pedestal, but the pedestal looks a little bit different. We have here this step, and we use the step in this way. We put the root, the verb root of the gerund on the top step, and then we put the ing on the next step down. We always do it. So if our gerund is skiing, we put ski on the top step, ing on the bottom step. If our gerund is jumping, we put jump on the top step, ing on the bottom step, every time. Sometimes, again, our gerunds have objects, direct objects. So maybe watching Fantastic Mr. Fox is my gerund, or not just that, watching Fantastic Mr. Fox on Thanksgiving. Right? So I have a prepositional phrase stemming down from the verby thing, but it's the same principle here. If I have these descending structures, I put them underneath the thing being modified. Just treat the gerund like a verb in this case, right, if it's adverbial, or put the modifiers beneath the object. The Earl of Salisbury detests belly flopping. Right. Is this a participle or a gerund? Well, could I take out belly flopping and have the sentence make sense? The Earl of Salisbury detests. We have a transitive verb with no direct object. So we know it's a gerund. It's got to be a gerund because it's acting as a noun. It's the direct object. So I color code it like this. I mark it as a gerund for myself. This is the thing that I have to figure out how to diagram. But I diagram the main baseline just as I would any other. Here in the direct object, I draw my step pedestal for the gerund, and I put the first part of the gerund, belly flop, on the top step, ing on the bottom step. Right. Now we're going to turn to do something a little more difficult.